Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches, bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case. And it is the 26th of April, 2026. It is the day when Jay Slater, had he lived, would be 21 years old. Now, I guess it's a day mostly of reflection, but I wanted to go ahead and do a video because I thought also it's a good day to sound positive about the future in the Jay Slater case and where we're going with finding out exactly what happened to Jay. So I don't think this day is one necessarily where silence is the order of the day. I think if there is a positive message to be put out there, let's do that. So I intend to do that. But I do believe that Jan is, she feels more comfortable, I think, with not doing the Sunday live. And to be honest, the last time we talked about doing a live today, it had slipped my mind that this Sunday would be the 21st birthday, had he been alive, for Jay Slater. So yeah, I completely get it. And as Jan put it to me, she obviously does have a tendency to get overexcited, or rather overpassionate. I would put it that way, overpassionate. And yeah, maybe today is not the day to do a live and get overpassionate about some of the horrendous failings that have happened in the Jay Slater case. But as I said, I see no reason not to go ahead with the video to point out some of the very positives that I think are happening and are about to happen. Why not? Now, chosen background of the day would be these gentlemen here, although it's the same guy, it's just the one gentleman. If we can use that word gentleman with this person. Um, from West Wales, of course. And I found this one because of the caption underneath, and I believe this comes from good old DJ Ravers, said this man, El Slugtardo, known as El Slugtardo in Spain, yeah, on his boat the day before the Guardia Civil announced Jay's body had been found, or if you like, the day after Chris Tenerife claims to have found Jay's body, or if you prefer, on the very day that Chris Tenerife also claims to have found Jay's body. I know, but this is the state of things with the Jay Slater case. We have on record Chris Tenerife saying that Jay's body was found on the Saturday. We have on record Chris Tenerife saying Jay's body was found on the Sunday. We have on record the Guardia Civil saying Jay's body was found on the Monday. This is why we need to plod on with this case, because all three things cannot be true, and all of them could be incorrect. That is where we are. But I highlight this person here, he with the dark glasses that used to feel comfortable in a swivel chair but no longer does, telling the world exactly how things are. Funny how his confidence has taken a bit of a battering over time, but this is the guy right here that has all the answers. Every single answer this guy either has or has access to it within minutes of contacting the likes of Lucy, Brad, Debbie, etc. So my main message for this video is that we are all here today, still engaged, sometimes very robustly, sometimes nastily, sometimes I would say from the other side with the very heights of intimidation and bullying. We're all here today, still going through this process because this man here has all the answers, but I guess enjoys not sharing them because he likes this to and fro to continue ad nauseum. That's all I can say. I repeat it. This man here has all the answers or access to all the answers. Every single question we've ever asked, he can answer, but he chooses not to. And I can only guess because he actually likes the mudslinging. There we go. But I said the main message was to be positive today. And this is where I think things are looking positive. Have you noticed in those fascinating comments that are flowing through the This Morning ITV show comment section of their video, have you noticed that this gentleman here that has all the answers or access to all the answers does not appear in that comment section at all? Well, not under his own known or verified, if you like, YouTube channel, which is Lord Lugworm. Lord Lugworm does not appear in any of the comments at all. He may not be in any of the comments at all. We don't know. I think it's fair to assume that he has several other accounts that he uses and that he has popped up in those comments. But it is curious that Lord Lugworm will not, has not appeared there at all. And why is that? Because, of course, Lord Lugworm is quite happy to appear on YouTube and make his posts, make his videos, say whatever he likes. But under the comments of a national television network, we have Lord Lugworm all of a sudden silent, absolutely silent. And you'll notice that his side chick or sidekick, Chris Pennington, is also not there in the comments at all. Well, again, not as Chris Tenerife, Chris Pennington, he's not there. He might be there in some other guise. But that is rather odd that two people that over the months, over the years, have had so much to say. They've directed the narrative. They've told us they know exactly what happened. They are 100% sure this was pure accident. When it comes to over 1,100 comments on a national TV comment section on YouTube, neither of these guys, I don't mean neither of these guys, but neither this guy, Lord Lugworm, nor Chris Tenerife have a single word to say. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. We had the same experience when Chris Tenerife suddenly didn't have much to say when he was interviewed by Sky News. Deer in headlights look, sweating gallons as the question came, yeah, how close to where you were searching was Jay's body found? And there was no great bravado at that moment on national TV, was there, when we heard, well, I don't actually know where the body was found. I believe 500 meters away from where I was looking, was the official explanation given on national TV. But on this time around, Chris Pennington, Lord Lugworm, neither of them has anything to say whatsoever in the comments on the national ITV comment section. I find that interesting. Now, yours truly is also missing there, of course, because I don't have a YouTube channel. Yeah, that got removed, although the appeal is still going on. Even though the notice says usually within 2 working days you will hear about your appeal, mine is now into week 3, and the YouTube robots just can't seem to make a decision. But there we go. So I effectively don't have a YouTube channel, so I cannot comment. Now, I do have someone called Homeless Git who allows me on to Homeless Git's YouTube channel to say something if I need to. But even when I was allowed to use Homeless Git's YouTube channel and post a comment or two under there as Homeless Git, that didn't show up, and that won't show up. So it's obvious to me that the ITV crew, This Morning crew, they have decided to censor and to ban any comments from Homeless Git. That's why there's nothing there for me, nothing there for me at all. Like I say, I could go through Homeless Git's channel and write something. I have done that. It is posted. I can see it. I screenshot it, but it's not appearing. So I think it's safe to say that the Debbie Duncan censoring machine is in operation. That Debbie Duncan has told This Morning that nothing from Homeless Git must be posted, and there we go. So that is why you're seeing nothing from me. But why you're seeing nothing from Lord Lugworm and Chris Tenerife, I don't know. Now, I describe this as a positive, very much so as a positive, because it's now clear to me that anything that goes through a national network These guys, they ain't got the cojones to say a word. And yet they're 100% convinced that Jay died by accident, but they haven't got the balls to say a word when it goes national, when they don't control who is out there interacting with them. That's good news. That's very good news. Because in general, these two, and I would describe them as clowns, these two clowns have had the stuffing knocked out of them. For the longest time now, Chris Tenerife's been hiding under a rock. He pops up every now and then, as does Peter Pennington, to have a snide comment here or there. But their ability to engage in any debate on the facts. Oh, yes, on the facts. As soon as you get to specific details, specific facts, specific questions, specific moments in the Jay Slater case, the Penningtons and Lord Lugworm will not, absolutely refuse to engage in those detailed discussions. They can't do it. And they haven't got the courage to do it on a national level. That is good news. That means that as they recede into the background, and their few trolls, their few tragedy troll supporters, yeah, the Gobshites and the Thomas the Wankers and the Beamundos. I mean, quite honestly, that little clan could all be Gobshite from Glasgow because we know, as per that Scottish tribunal, she created over a dozen online um, personas, if you like, yeah, fake accounts. We know that. So, given she has a track record of doing that, it makes sense that she's done it again this time with the Jay Slater case. So, if we take Jane Gobshite Elliott as 12 accounts, really there's only like 4 or 5 that might pop up every now and then in support of Lord Lugworm. So, this base of ardent Pennington Loveless fans is really down to a very, very small number. And again, not one of them has the balls, I think this is positive actually, to debate live. They just, it's not that they don't want to do it. You know, they would dearly love to go voice to voice with me, to humiliate me, to shame me, to show I didn't know anything, that I was ignorant, that I got no grasp of the case. You know, they would love to do that. But for some odd reason, they can't and they won't. You've got to ask yourself why. I think that's a positive. I think it means they know voice to voice. They can't do it. They can't pull it. They can't pull this off. They can sit behind their keyboards, typing away, saying vile troll, tragedy troll, disgusting, etc. But they can't do it live, human to human, argument to argument, and they know they can't do it. I think this is where we edge towards a victory. Yes, they are trying to shut us down. But another positive about this is that it hasn't worked. Even in my case, where they keep trumpeting the channel removals, we found a very good workaround. We have our own site. We're alive and well on TikTok. We have a presence on YouTube. And this, I think, is something enormously positive. One of the great positives moving forward is that I think we have learned that no matter what they do, whether it be the Jay's Law nonsense or the channel removal nonsense, they just can't silence the people that are impassioned by this subject, that are impassioned to get to the truth. They can't silence us. That's why I feel very, very positive on this April 26th, 2026. One more positive, very, very positive sign, I think, is that I've noticed not a tremendous number, but a number. I've noticed quite a few new people haven't seen their account names before, never heard from them before, but I've seen a number of new people start to engage and ask a few basic questions and say, yeah, I want to follow this. I want to hear what you have to say. And that's good. I think that's very good. I told you that the TikTok numbers I had went up. And to be honest, even if it's a handful, even if I had like 4 or 5 people a day saying, just found your channel and like to hear what you're saying, um, as those numbers go up a little bit and those people get more engaged, I think that is very much a positive thing. I think moving forward, it would be easy to think, well, the longer time goes on, the more people will forget about this case. But I think there's a hard core. There's, a few thousand people that are still fascinated by this. And I think as they join or rejoin the discussion about the case, they're more on the foul play group side than they are the accident group side. I would say that that is a positive. Perhaps the biggest positive of all is it's clear now that Debbie Duncan has started to re-engage with social media. I believe she's basically said that herself, that she's back on social media. And the first step in this battle is for Debbie Duncan to actually listen to what we have to say. It doesn't really matter initially, early doors, if Debbie Duncan listens to what we have to say and she's outraged or she wants to silence us or she wants to call us tragedy trolls. That in itself isn't the big deal, I don't think. The big deal is that she's actually now listening and reacting. Now, as time goes on, we can hope and we can do what we can to shape Debbie's perception of things to the extent that maybe she won't be quite so vociferous against us if she actually hears what we have to say, if she goes back and thinks. Now, which side is it has been telling me this bullshit all along? I think in the future, with a bit more reflection, Debbie might realize who it is that's been manipulating her. And it hasn't been us. She hasn't been listening to us. There's only one side up till now Debbie's been listening to, and it hasn't gone very well for her. We know that because Debbie has said recently in that TV interview with This Morning, she said, I haven't made any money off of this interview, this appearance today. First time she's ever addressed the does she make any money off this? Well, I can only assume she put that out there because she knew it was one of the big criticisms against her. The only way she would know that, I believe, is if she'd started picking up on what we've been saying. There was another clue there too. There was another clue when Debbie started talking about Jay's law and all that. When she started talking about the kinds of trolls that have been sending her messages. Now, you will notice that when it comes to specific lies, for example, I believe she called me not only gloating troll, but she said I'd said cruel lies about Jay. Now, if Debbie is sure what she's saying, that I have said cruel lies about Jay, again, she must have listened to what I said or read what I've said in order to come to that conclusion. Now, she's come to the wrong conclusion. If at any point Debbie responds, remember I wrote her a very short note the other day, handwritten note, she probably won't respond. That letter will arrive. It's I mean, might get lost in the mail, but these days it's actually rare. Well, on the Spanish side, if it's coming from a Spanish post office, which it is, it will get to the UK. It will get to Oswald Twistle. It will come through the letterbox. Then it's up to Debbie. It's up to Debbie. She can just throw it away if she really is back to not engaging with anyone on the other side. She can open it, read it, then throw it away. She can open it, read it, and think, well, maybe I will answer it. But what I'm saying is, this is, I think, a positive breakthrough because whatever she decides to do with that, forevermore, it will be up to Debbie to say, yes, I did receive a handwritten letter, but I decided to ignore it. Okay, but at least you received it and you made that decision. Maybe the second one, if there's a second one, she might actually read it. She might give it to someone else to read. We don't know. But the point is, Debbie's engagement with this debate has now gone up. It's now on. And no matter what she thinks and says about us, that can only go in a more positive direction. It can't get worse. Once you've been called a gloating troll and someone that's lied about Jay, and you've had your channel removed because you got the Daily Mirror to do it, it can't get any worse. It can only get better. I think that is a positive. Debbie's engaged, which means the side that's been manipulating her the side that's been manipulating her, is having less influence now that Debbie's actually listening. We'll see. One last positive. The Jaysville petition has very low numbers still. We're down. Are we down to the final week? May 4th, I think, is the closing date. It is the 26th of April, 30 days have around. So it's like 8 days, 7 or 8 days really. It's still in the 16,000s. I mean, unless Chris Pennington's expert hackers can somehow get in this government petition and fiddle the numbers, it's going to be a very low petition number. I think that's a positive. Again, I think that is a positive because it gives Debbie the correct message, and Warren and Zach and everyone in the foul play group. It gives them the correct message that so many people, when offered the chance simply to sign a petition, have said, no, this isn't what we want. You're going in the wrong direction. As Dee Morris said, no matter what your loss is, aiming to silence people that are talking about it isn't the right course. It just simply isn't. It's not going to work, and it puts you in a bad light. Slowly but surely, I think Debbie is getting the message that the whole Jaysville petition, now that it's a fiasco, now that it seems like Sarah Smith has withdrawn, is just not the right direction to go in. It's a positive because we're approaching a vacuum period. The vacuum period happens after the 4th. Today we have what would have been Jay's birthday. Yep, 26th of April. 4th of May, the petition's over. That's it. There ain't going to be a second petition. It's over. So what comes in the vacuum? Well, we have, of course, June coming up. Can you believe it's nearly 2 years since this case has been happening? Because June 17th is when Jay disappeared. Some would say it's when he also died. I would dispute that. But June 17th is the date on the horizon. Now, what fills that vacuum between the end of the petition, May 4th, and June 17th? I'm hopeful, maybe blindly hopeful, that in that gap, someone, and yes, I am contacting all of the journalists. It's a big project. This is why I'm very busy, but contacting handwritten notes and emails to all of the journalists that have covered the subject. And I mean all of them. I've been going back through the Sun newspaper reports when someone called Ellie Doughty was reporting. And, she said that Debbie Duncan was absolutely convinced that someone had taken Jay. I haven't. I'm going to contact Ellie and say, would you like to talk to me? Because I still believe that. And I'm curious why Debbie doesn't believe it anymore. We'll see. We want just one of these people to respond. I think they will. I think we've got this vacuum, this period coming up where there's not much to focus on until June 17, and I think we might get a response. I mean, you never know. It's always worth plugging away and trying. I think that's a positive. On the Jaysville petition, one curious thing I looked at, I looked through the data. I clicked on the data button for it, and it has the number of signatures that came from different countries. And there are two things that surprised me about this. Spain, there were a total of 30, I think it was 32 people had signed that petition from Spain, from the whole of Spain, which would include the Canary Islands. I think that is a pitifully, pitifully low number. When you consider all the people just in Tenerife, I mean, if you consider all of Chris Pennington's drinking buddies, that would be more than 32, wouldn't it? You'd have thought that total would be way, way up there. Millie and all her friends. The Penningtons, all their friends. I mean, everyone from Papagayos. You'd have thought that with the Tenerife contingent that all said they were so sorrowful about what happened to Jay, you'd have thought they'd have all signed this. It seems they haven't. 32 from the whole of Spain is a very, very low number. So the Penningtons want a week to sort that out. But the one that really jumped out at me was from the Netherlands. From the Netherlands, only 2 people have signed. Just 2. From the whole of the Netherlands. I find that surprising because the Sydney Dog team was 3, 4, 5 people. Marika Krantz was the leader. There was another gal that was with her, the one that didn't speak English so well, so she wasn't called upon to speak in the inquest. There's a guy called Paul. Well, there's three. So, assuming that two of those are the two that signed from the Netherlands, who's the third one that refused to sign? And you can't tell me that the Sydney Dog team aren't aware that Jay's petition is out there. They'd be quite buddy with Debbie and Warren. This is very strange. I'm going to end this by saying it is actually very positive that a number of people that were clearly involved with the J, I mean, boots on the ground, Sydney Dog team, etc., clearly involved with the Jay Slater search, whether it be Cipriano Martins, Sydney Dog team, all of those guys, they've all looked at this Jay's Law petition and said, wrong way to go. And that's a positive. Believe me, that is a positive. Clamping down on free speech is not the way to go when you're dealing with a missing person case and very suspicious circumstances. Just isn't. All right, I said it was going to be short. As always, I've rambled on a long time. But on this special day, let this be a positive message. Things are going in our direction. I'm 100% sure of that. We can feel positive, and yeah, let's reflect today on where we stand and what the future may bring. But I think things are going in our favor. Let's leave it there. Okay, hasta luego, adios, hasta la próxima. I will see you next time.